Okay, let's take a look at some, SI and empirical conversions. So SI is, I forget what it stands for, but metric. Number, like units like centimeters, millimeters, kilometers, meters, etc. So the question is, how many centimeters are on a 400-meter track? I'm just going to quickly show you how to weigh if you're copying down questions from the textbook to quickly write down that question. So the question is how many? So I just say question mark, centimeters, comma, 400 meters. So we learned back in grade 8 where we can start off with over equals over. And then we can say what we know about 100 centimeters. So you can put 100 centimeters on the top or the bottom, but we know 100 centimeters are in a meter. If you take a meter stick, it's got 100 centimeters. Cent is Latin for 100. There's 100 cents in a dollar, etc. So centimeters. So let's say 100 centimeters on the top and 1 meter on the bottom. I'm going to put a red box around that. That is what we call a conversion factor. We have a review sheet with all of the conversion factors on the same sheet. You might be given one. You might have to make your own. You might have to memorize some of them. Now we're given 400 meters in the question. 400 meters. So where are we going to put that in our fraction over equals over? Well, on the right-hand side, we have meters on the bottom. So we're obviously going to put meters on the bottom. And then as we learned in grade 8, we can work with these fractions. So how do you get from 1 to 400? Well, we times by 400. And if we do that to the bottom in that direction, we have to do that to the top in that direction, times 100. And 100 times 100 is, times 400. We times the bottom by 400, therefore we have to times the top by 400. And 100 times 400 on the calculator is 4 times 1, 4, with 2, 4 zeros on it. And then we want to say our units. We have centimeters on the top, so we're going to put centimeters on the top. So that's one way, our old way, using equal fractions over equals over. We have a new method. We're going to take what's given, 400 meters, and this time we're simply going to times by the conversion factor. So we're going to start by setting up an over, and now we're going to put the units that we want on the bottom, that we want to cross off on the bottom. So we have meters on the top right now, so we want to put meters on the bottom. We know we want to get to centimeters, so we put centimeters on the top. Then we think, how many centimeters are in a meter? Well, the same as before. 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Put a box around your conversion factor if you like, so you can easily recognize that they're the same on the page, possibly flipped over. And the same calculation, 400 times 100 is 40,000. Now what are our units? Well, we have meters on the top and the bottom, so we can cross off meters on the top and the bottom. That was the goal, to get rid of meters and get to centimeters. So now our units are simply centimeters. So big blue, we have the example on the left, equal fractions, and we have the example on the right, conversion factors. And that's the way that we're going to do it from now on, conversion factors. So the question says how many inches in 1 meter? So I'm going to say question mark, IN, comma, inches, comma, 1 meter. So conversion factors, the example on the right above, we're going to take what's given, 1 meter, and we're going to multiply it by the conversion factor that allows us to get from meters to inches. Either way, we need meters on the bottom. Now we don't have a definition, or it's not as easy. So what we have to do is we have to go through centimeters. So we can say centimeters. Then we know that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, our conversion factor that we've been using. And we can do meters on the top and meters on the bottom, so we crossed it off. That was the goal. And now we're left with 1,000 centimeters. Excuse me, 100, excuse me. 1 times 100 is 100. Excuse me, erase the extra 0, 100 centimeters. Circle your answer. It's a partial answer. Now we're going to take what we have, 100 centimeters, the answer that we just got, and now get to inches. So times, over. We have to cross off centimeters, so we're going to put them on the bottom. We have to get to inches, we're going to put them on the top. And now we have to figure out, from our conversion factor sheet, how many inches in a centimeter, or vice versa. And there's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. So we put the 2.54 attached to the units that it belongs. This is a conversion factor on our conversion factor sheet. Equals. Now this time on the calculator, it's 100 times 1 divided by 2.54. And we get 39.37. Now, we had centimeters on the top and centimeters on the bottom, so we can cross them off. And we're left with inches, so our answer is in inches. Circle our answer. Now, as you can see in the notes, I only circled the final answer. If you ever accidentally circle a partial answer like I did above, just put a double circle around your final answer to represent that. Now I hope you're writing a lot smaller than me because I'm on digital, whatever. Now there's a big or in the notes. So instead of doing that, we can take the 1 meter, then simply times it by the conversion factor that allows us to cross off meters and get closer to what we want, centimeters. 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Put a box around my conversion factor. Remember, that's a times. Cross off the units that I have, meters on the top, cross off meters from the bottom. Now we're at centimeters. Now we can just times by the factor that's going to get rid of our centimeters and get us straight to inches. And we know there's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Notice the number is either attached to the top or attached to the bottom, but attached to whatever it's supposed to be. That's 2.54 on the bottom. And then we can simply use the calculator. 1 times 100 divided by 1 times 1 divided by 2.54 equals 39.37. Now, we had centimeters on the top and centimeters on the bottom, so we can cross them off. And we're left with inches. Circle your answer. Same answer. So, you can either do it in a 2-step process, or you can do it all in one. Now, let's shrink up all of this. Again, I hope you're using smaller graph paper. Okay, next section. How many, question mark, meters squared in 2 kilometers squared? Well, we have our given 2 kilometers squared. We need to times it by a conversion factor. We're going to get rid of kilometers. We need meters on the top. Kilo is 1,000. There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Put a box around your conversion factor. But we can only cross out kilometers from the bottom. So we can only cross out the squared because we still have kilometers on the top. Now we have kilometers and meters on the top. We still want to cross off that other kilometers. So we times by kilometers on the bottom again. We need to get to meters, 1,000, 1 on the bottom. That's the same conversion factor we just used. Equals. Now 2 times 100, 2 times 1,000 times 1,000 is 2 with 6 zeros after it. Now, we have kilometers on the bottom. We can cross off kilometers on the bottom and the other kilometers from the top on the left. Now we're left with meters and meters on the top. And meters times meters is meters squared. and circle your answer. Even draw a picture. You know what? I'm going to draw it down below. Excuse me. Even draw a picture. If this is 2 kilometers and this is 2 kilometers, well, this is like 2,000 meters. And so's this. So you're going to get like 2 million meters squared. Awesome. So off to the right, you can see a little different way to do it. Just times it by the conversion factor squared. And then you'll see a whole bunch of theory about crossing stuff off and a whole bunch of English sentences like, in order to cross off the kilometer squared, we must multiply the conversion factor 2 times. And you see the example down below of how to convert cubed into cubed. Well, we just have to use the conversion factor 3 times. Or multiply the conversion factor cubed. So, in summary, from the top, big blue, big red, top left, we learned that we can use our old-fashioned equal fractions, but we'd rather use conversion factors. Then we can do conversion factors in 2 steps. Remembering, you want to multiply by the conversion factor that allows you to cross off the units you have to get the units you want. Again, I'm going to read an English sentence from the notes. Choose the conversion factor that allows you to cross off the units you're given to get you the units you want. One more time. Choose the conversion factor that allows you to cross off the units you're given and get the unit you want. English sentences. Sometimes we use the conversion factor to get from where we want to get to all in one step or 2 separate. So big blue arrow or big blue underneath the example where we did 2 steps or all in one, and down below where we can get from squared or cubed units to the other.